Welcome to the deep dive, everyone. I'm your host, and I'm really excited to get into today's topic with you.
And I'm your resident expert, ready to break down some pretty heavy concepts today.
Yeah, heavy is definitely the word. So, our mission today is to explore a really profound, honestly kind of thought-provoking text from December 2006.
Right. It's titled Returning to Simplicity by Deiform Buddha, and it was translated and edited by Kinyu.
Exactly. And the whole focus of this deep dive is to look at the natural life cycle of our passions, and that inevitable crisis of meaning we literally all
Yeah,
face.
the universal wall we hit.
Right. And the text makes this wild claim that the ultimate goal of personal growth isn't actually about achieving greatness.
No, it's about returning to the mundane, which is a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Left.
Because I want you, the listener, to think about your own life for a second. Have you ever started a new project or a relationship or even just a hobby with this fiery enthusiasm?
Oh, absolutely. We all have.
Right, but then maybe a year later, you find it feeling completely tedious. And you wonder, why does that happen? Is it a sign that I'm just failing?
What's fascinating here is how the source text frames this. It doesn't look at that loss of interest as a failure at all.
It doesn't.
Not even a little bit. It frames it as a universal law of development. Like, decay is just certain.
Wow, okay. Decay is certain. That sounds a bit bleak, I mean.
It does sound bleak at first, but this deep dive is going to reveal the text's blueprint for how that exact decay can be channeled into, like, a qualitative transformation.
Okay, I love that. So let's transition into the specific examples the author gives, because he talks about how passion naturally just fades into calmness.
Yeah, the rule laid out is that in all things, beginnings are full of passion, but that passion just cannot be sustained.
It has to settle down.
Exactly. It gradually settles into calmness, and the author argues that this calmness is actually a sign of maturity.
Which is super interesting. I mean, the examples in the text are highly relatable, like a fiery romance inevitably settling into monotony.
Right. The dullness that people freak out about.
Yeah. We're taught that the dullness means the relationship is dying, but the text is saying, no, that's just maturity. And schooling was another big one.
Oh, yeah. The initial enthusiasm of a new school year giving way to this intense yearning for just, unrestrained freedom.
Like staring out the window, completely over it. And then religion was the third example.
Yes. Specifically new Christians. The text notes how someone might literally cry during early church services because it's so moving.
Right, they're so emotionally invested.
But then, a year or two later, it becomes a mere routine. The passion just naturally burns out.
But wait, I have to ask, if fading passion just signifies maturity, doesn't that make maturity sound incredibly boring?
I mean, it can seem that way, sure.
Like, it's like buying a sports car, only to realize you have to drive it in bumper-to-bumper traffic every single day.
That is a great analogy.
Oh,
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the author isn't actually praising boredom.
okay, then what are they praising?
Well, the text argues that sustained passion is a biological and spiritual impossibility. You just can't keep that engine revving forever.
You'd burn out.
Exactly. Recognizing this calmness as maturity is actually the first required condition for true transformation. It sets the stage.
It's like the prerequisite for the depper spiritual journey then.
Precisely. You have to get past the flashy beginning to get to the real work.
Which brings us to the next phase, right? Because once that passion fades into calmness, the conversation shifts to why this transition triggers such a severe internal crisis.
Right, especially when you are actively on a path of personal or spiritual growth. Or, the pursuit of the Tao, as the text calls it.
Yeah, the pursuit of the Tao. So what happens during this crisis? The stuck phase, I guess we could call it?
The text describes it as a deepening of the journey. But it's not a fun deepening. The thrill of revelation actually diminishes.
Oh, so you stop getting those exciting aha moments.
Exactly. Doubts multiply. Confusion intensifies. The world's illusions become super evident to you.
And everything just starts to feel meaningless. That sounds awful.
It is. Obstacles increase, your inner conflicts get worse, and you end up feeling completely stuck. You're unable to advance, but you're also unwilling to retreat.
Wow. There's this really evocative quote from the text about this exact feeling after years of practice. I think it goes, the mountains are still the same mountains and the rivers are still the same rivers.
Yes, that's a crucial realization.
Because it's about realizing your own insignificance, right? You realize you understand absolutely nothing and the earth does not care about your will.
It doesn't operate according to what you want.
Right.
But, okay, here's where it gets really interesting. If I'm putting years of effort into self-improvement or learning,
Yeah.
and my reward is feeling completely stuck and realizing I understand nothing, isn't the logical response to just quit? I mean, why keep going?
It feels logical to quit, yeah. But the text pinpoints this agonizing psychological imbalance as the core turning point.
A turning point, not a dead end. Not at all. It explicitly states that this awful stuck feeling is a sign that a qualitative transformation is imminent.
Imminent, like it's just about to happen.
Yes, the author is very clear here. This is precisely the stage where perseverance is essential. You have to maintain your balance through the crisis.
You just have to sit in the discomfort.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because that discomfort is the vehicle for the transformation.
Okay, so then how do we actually achieve this transformation? Because building on that, the text argues something so counterintuitive.
It really does. It flips the whole script on what we consider progress.
Right, because it says you don't transform by pushing forward toward more greatness. You do it by retreating.
Yeah, the author introduces this central paradox to say it is easy to ascend from simplicity to greatness.
Which sounds crazy because achieving greatness is hard.
It is, but they argue it's far harder to descend back from greatness down to simplicity.
Wow.
It requires this delicate balance of tension and relaxation, moving deliberately from complexity back to the simple.
I remember the specific directives the text gives for this. It says, see the plane, embrace the uncarved block, and return to a childlike state.
The uncarved block is such a powerful image.
And it literally instructs you to forget everything you've learned and begin anew.
Right, to just start over from scratch, spiritually speaking.
So what does this all mean practically? Like, I'm thinking of an analogy here. It's like a master chef who spends, decades learning molecular gastronomy.
Oh, I like where this is going.
Right. They learn all these complex techniques, but then they realize the ultimate perfect dish is just a baked loaf of plain bread.
Yes, the mastery is in the absolute simplicity.
But here is my pushback for you. How does the listener actually forget everything they've learned without, literally giving themselves amnesia? The chef can't just forget chemistry.
This raises an important question because forgetting in this context isn't about losing literal knowledge.
Okay, good, because that would be a problem.
Yeah, you don't forget how to bake the bread. What you are stripping away is the ego.
The ego attached to the skills.
Exactly. You shed the complex narratives you attach to your achievements. It's about unlearning the need to be seen as extraordinary.
So the chef bakes the bread, but doesn't need a Michelin star to validate it.
Precisely. You just exist as the uncarved block without needing to show off your carvings, so to speak.
That makes a lot of sense. So to ground this whole philosophical idea of the uncarved block, the deep dive moves into the author's highly practical instructions.
Yes, the physical instructions for achieving this rebirth in everyday life.
Because it's all about rebirth in the mundane.
It is. The goal is spiritual rebirth.
Mm.
But crucially, not from a mother's womb, from the spirit itself.
And the steps are so specific. The text says to reunite with old friends and only talk about mundane daily life.
Only the mundane. No grand philosophical debates.
Right. And you're supposed to continue farming or working, running a business, holding a regular job.
You don't run away to a mountain. You stay right where you are.
But you lower yourself to be an unnoticed blade of grass in the wilderness. You just live as children and ordinary people live.
You blend in. You become completely ordinary.
But wait. Earlier, the text said to continue running a business and holding a job, right? But then it drops this massive exclamation, lose it all, be left with nothing, return to the starting point, and be reborn.
Yeah, it sounds a bit contradictory.
It sounds like a massive contradiction. Is the author telling you to empty your bank account while trying to run a business?
I get why it reads that way, but it's not a contradiction. Losing it all is an entirely internal process.
Internal? So you keep the money.
You keep your job, you keep your business, you keep your friends. What you lose is the ego.
Oh, I see.
You lose the burning desire for recognition and that heavy delusion of control. When you strip all that internal noise away, you are left with nothing but your true self. That is how you are reborn.
So you're doing the exact same tasks, but your relationship to them is completely different.
Exactly. You are the unnoticed blade of grass, and you're perfectly fine with that.
Man, that is powerful. Okay, so let's summarize the journey you, the listener, have just been through with this text.
It's been quite an arc.
It really has. First, recognizing that your fading passion isn't a failure, it's just maturity.
Right.
Then, learning to embrace that agonizing stuck phase as the necessary precursor to a real transformation.
You have to push through the meaningless feeling.
And finally, actively choosing to become that unnoticed blade of grass in the mundane world, shedding the ego.
Releasing the need for greatness.
Exactly. And why is this so relevant to your daily life? Because, look at our modern world.
It's exhausting.
It is. We are completely obsessed with grinding and being extraordinary. Hustle culture is everywhere.
Everyone wants to be the main character.
Yes. But this text offers such profound permission to just be ordinary.
It really takes the pressure off.
It reveals the hidden beauty and, honestly, the immense spiritual strength required to simply do your job, to talk to your friends about mundane things, and just exist without needing to be
It
praised.
takes a lot of strength to not need applause.
It really does. And I want to leave you with one final kind of provocative thought that builds on the text's incredibly beautiful final line.
Oh, that line is fantastic.
The author writes, "Though the mountains remain the same, the scenery is entirely different."
Mm-hmm.
So if returning to simplicity changes our internal scenery without changing the external mountains, what happens if we apply this exact lens to our biggest past regrets or our failures?
Oh, wow. That's a deep shift in perspective.
Right. If we view our past through the eyes of the uncarved block, completely stripped of our ego's need to be flawless, do those painful scars stop being sources of trauma?
They might just lose their power over us.
Exactly. Could they simply become the perfectly mundane soil from which our current blade of grass is growing? Something to mull over as you go about your perfectly ordinary, beautiful day. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.